Every time I see your name pop up on something, I get so excited. Like I could probably have a whole other conversation with you about Vladimir when
Oh,
I love the richness of the colors of so much of that
well,
show. I
thank
may
you.
bug Netflix and I might see you, in a week or two to talk about those because I could
All
literally
right.
have a whole conversation about that. Um, I was going through some of the episodes of Welcome to Derry in the last couple of days, and Jesus, I forgot how much this show like freaked me out. Um, this is a world you're obviously very familiar with. Um, but before I get into some of the like creepy stuff, um, I guess I guess I wanted to know what you might appreciate or like about early 1960s, like I won't say Americana, but I mean Americana.
Well, I mean, for me, I think what I really love, I mean, there's the time period and then it's where we are. And that's always so kind of an important factor.
Mm-hmm.
So even though we're early 60s, we're rural. So really kind of tipping our hat to the 50s. And then of course, depending on the project, you play into a slight askew, a slight twist, a little sourness, or a little, um, I would say, kind of color bursts.
Hmm.
Yeah,
Okay.
so I mean that's for me. It's I really love to kind of zero in where we are as well as the time period, and then figure out where does most of our world live in. So.
Okay.
Because if we were doing something in New York City, 62 is very different than in Maine. And then, of course, you know, Derry is being all, spooky and weird. We
Yeah.
had some fun with that.
Yeah. I guess something that I had a conversation with somebody a couple of weeks ago, who I said something, I can't remember what show it was, but I was talking about how it wasn't in set in like a big city. And I was like, well, even though it's like uh set in the past, like you have to think about how all of these characters are probably not, they're not like going through fashion magazines to
Totally,
like what is the no one in Derry is
totally.
like what are they wearing in New York?
That's
Like they're not
right.
doing that.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, and I was very much when I was rewatching some of the things, I kept wondering about I don't know about how like where these people buy their clothes, and like sort of maybe characters like Leroy and Charlotte, like I don't know, I was curious about how they feel as like outsiders coming into a new city and honing in on an identity for themselves or how they dress, in a town where they probably feel very self-conscious about a lot of things. um, just a lot of nerdery that I like to think about. um, Tell me if I'm reading far too much into stuff, but for some reason when I was going through some of the episodes, I was looking for everything that was red, and I don't know why. And
Right,
I'm sure we're going to talk about the Pennywise ness of it all later, but for
right.
like the kids and things like that, were you like, I don't want to say like afraid to use red, but I mean, was that something you kind of had to be careful about? Because I have a list of things I had to stop doing. I was like, Lily's red sweater, Margot's coat, episode two, the boy attacked on the street, has some red in his stuff. And I got through like episode five and I stopped, but tell me if I'm thinking far too much.
No, no, no. I mean, definitely, red was something that we used sparingly and
Sure.
poignantly. Especially with the Ingrid character. There were aspects of gray and red throughout her costuming and even down to her apron. And then, the reds that she would use were blue reds. And all the other reds were warm reds. So, again, with that kind of honey dipped horror feeling of color palette.
Okay.
We didn't use cool reds at all throughout.
Yeah. Okay. Honey dipped horrors. gonna become my new favorite. My
Well,
new favorite.
because it was really literally everything, the color palette. We talked about warming up the color palette, and then um, looking at 50s, like a 50s color palette. It was certainly warm-ish, and so when we did the color timing and finished it all off, it really went super warm, and that's when I was like, "Oh, that's kind of honey dipped."
Yeah, honey
Um,
dipped. Okay, I love that. Um, I thought I saw something on Instagram. I saw a picture that you had where it was the marquettes of the Pennywise costume, and I
yes.
think you were standing with a costume cutter. And when I was reading the caption, about how the patterns for Pennywise, like the costume, the patterns for the costume were lost. Am I misreading that?
Yeah, I mean,
Um,
long story short, we redeveloped the costume in episode in uh it too. So we changed a lot of the costume to be more flexible and more stretch, just more stunt savvy.
okay.
Um, and so we redid the costume, and we had the patterns and extra fabric because we already talked about doing this series potentially. So it's like, oh, I'm going to be smart. I'm going to buy extra fabric and extra trim and have the
Hmm.
pattern, and it all kind of just disappeared. I don't know what happened to it. So
Okay.
we had to literally dismantle one of the archive costumes to not completely, but definitely some major
Yeah.
components to reconstruct it all, and then have it ready for a fitting with Bill, because it had been, I guess it would be 5 years later, just to make sure that
Yeah.
he was still going to be the same size.
Hmm.
And so yeah, that was the scoop, and then I had to re-source the fabric, replete fabric, reorder custom trim out of Asia,
Hmm.
and
Wow.
yeah, it was a deal. It was an ordeal. Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. So, but the maquettes, interestingly enough, those are they were half scale, and I just like using maquettes sometimes in production.
Okay.
I used them in the Carrie movies where we were needing to know all the different stages of the Carrie dress. And
Hmm.
so rather than doing it on, just a swatch of fabric, we made up these little maquettes and then did the different stages so that we could get it all signed off for all the multiples. And so,
Ooh.
did the same thing with Mama, with Andy, and Mama. Andy ended up keeping one of the maquettes. And so it's just become a thing, this maquette thing.
I love it. I've never heard of anybody doing that. That's so, and also I think that's really cool because you would have like a little collection of all of the costumes and this like small
Yeah,
form. And I
I
guess
do.
I would be very terrified of just the Pennywise ones because um
Yeah,
and I have to say the resourcing the fabric and doing all that sort of stuff. I feel like I was complaining about this like just the other day because like on social media people complain about the most tiny minute details of like this isn't how I remember it, this isn't that. And so the fact that you were able to do it, and I would never have guessed that anything would be different from that at all. I mean yeah, that's really cool. um all right, I guess let's just I've read a bunch of things about, I forgot about, I don't know how, maybe I pushed it out of my brain because it freaked me out so much. um but that red outfit, forgive me to bring it up again, but I mean
yeah,
that thing is so, every time I saw it and when I watched it like in motion in the episode, I felt weird for thinking like, oh my god, that is so gorgeous, horrifically gorgeous. And I didn't realize um that the material itself wasn't wet. It looks like it's dripping in blood, again
yeah,
terrifying.
yeah, yeah.
um but I guess when you have to create an outfit like that, like, do you kind of know from the get-go that it's going to be way more complicated? Can you sort of tell me, like, I don't say the journey of realizing how ornate that is going to be?
Yeah, I mean, ultimately, Andy, and he's spoken about this in a couple of panels, but he came to me, and I'm the receiver of the most curveballs from Andy, as he would call them,
Sure.
and that this was a curveball where he said, Lewis, I'm thinking I would like to have a red Pennywise that's just come out of a literal blood bath,
Ugh.
and I want him to be wet. And I was like, okay, and so that of course just started me thinking in troubleshooting everything from the get-go, and I had to compartmentalize and kind of go, okay,
Mhm.
what are we going to do? So ultimately there were two ways to go. We would either start with a red fabric or start with a gray fabric, and we did a bunch of tests, and of course, sourcing those fabrics again was tricky, and we came down to, I think the most rich version was starting with a like crazy red fabric, so
Yeah.
red silk, and then staining that, because if you if you are in a red something or anything of color and you get wet, it just goes blah. It's
Yeah.
just it's one color, and I'm like, well, I can't have that. So we had to go in and kind of put all that aging and all that staining into the red fabric, and then test all these other things, all the silicones and other mediums that we were tried,
Hmm.
to ensure that we weren't going to lose all that work
Yeah.
that we had done. So and then, of course, we had to map it all out so that each multiple looked the same. So we had maps for each basic, you know, major piece of the costume. So it was involved, and the person in that photo was Alex Goldman, who was the key breakdown artist who painstakingly for weeks, alongside aging stuff in general for the
Yeah.
show, she was in charge of coming up with a few options for us to play with. So
There's something about this is probably the geekiest thing to admit to a costume designer, but like for some reason um I love how the process of like distressing something. I remember
me too.
when I would like do theater and stuff, and I would, because
Yeah.
I think the reason why I geek out over costume design so much is because I would always be excited for when you get your costume. And I remember always getting chummy with costume designers when I did shows, because I would love to see how they would, like, I don't know, like rub it on something to make the edges frayed or something like that. And
Yeah.
I love how that red outfit, you can I can it feels like there's like a lot of history to it in a weird fucked up way. And I saw a I saw somebody who made just like a red Pennywise outfit out of fabric, and it's just sort of like, oh, I appreciate the effort, does not have the same effect as that.
Right.
Yeah.
Well,
Uh,
I mean, I appreciate anyone's effort. It's,
of
I
course,
don't know.
yeah.
I don't know if anybody really has, 3 weeks to develop your technique and get it all,
Mhm.
oh, that's almost good. Let's try another round
Yeah,
with X. And so yeah, I mean, thank you. Thank you for noticing,
of course.
because it's something that we're all very proud of.
Yeah,
Um,
it's
just to
working.
take it to the next level. Because I mean, that's what we did on the second movie. We changed Pennywise just slightly. We changed the proportion a little bit. We moved the palms over,
Hmm.
and then again on this, we changed it slightly. And then of course the red, and that was like this big secret we couldn't talk about till
Yeah.
till the episode released.
I do remember when my husband's a huge Stephen King fan, and he consumes everything Stephen
Right.
King. And he was really, the minute another episode came out, he wanted to watch it. And I do remember when the first time that you see him, in that outfit, I do remember very loudly going, "What the fuck?" Like it's I feel like that's the reaction that you guys probably want. And I have to say that horror, I mean, sort of has a reputation. Every time you come back, you have to up it up every single time. And I was like, that extends to makeup, to costumes, to
Yeah.
everything. So I very much love that. Um, I just want to tell you two things real quick. Well, ask you one thing and tell you real quick one thing. I'll tell you the one thing first. The short film Once Upon a Time in the Apocalypse.
Yes.
Um, that thing, I was so impressed with the production design of that sucker because that house or where the setting of that, I was really like blown away with. I wanted to like go in there. I think that's a really great hallmark of good production design is I want to go through like the desk drawers and go into the kitchen and things. I love that short film. I think that thing is
Oh, thank
great.
you.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. I was so excited to be part of it, and it's like the little short that could,
Mm-hmm.
because it's still being shown at different film festivals,
Mm-hmm.
and they're really hoping that they can get a run for the Oscars.
Yeah.
But we'll see. We'll see how that goes. But
Yeah. It's it might give me a little bit of a opening scene from Inglorious Bastards vibe. That gives me yeah,
yeah,
really
yeah.
great tension in that short.
Well,
Um
and what's interesting about that is like really you are there, like you are just
mhm.
thrown right in there, and between Tiago's direction and the actors, and I don't know if you know that one of the actors is a very well known musician, I think. Anyway, he's not generally an actor,
Okay.
and he did an exceptional job.
Yeah. Okay.
So.
Um, my favorite thing to ask costume designers is if you could take something from your own design and put it in your own closet, what would it be? I think it's kind of not weird, but every single thing that little Richie wears, I want them in like my size. Um, for some reason, I
Well,
like.
he grew, so we had to make all
Oh
that
yeah,
stuff repeatedly in different sizes
I guess
too.
that
So.
is something you have to struggle with when you work with kids of a certain age. They're growing and on a long shoot. And
Well, the backstory to that was that this project was supposed to be 6 months long, and it ended up being 2 years
oh,
between the two strikes.
oh,
So
that's right.
we literally were, there were pieces that we started with kids' shoes and had to find the adult version because they had grown.
Oh
And
shit.
in the fitting room doorway, we had the steps, the lines of growth,
Yeah,
and it was very interesting to watch because we literally did watch these kids grow up
yeah.
in two
Great
years.
cast. Those kids are great.
Aren't they
Um,
awesome?
yeah, it's really impressive that they can, that many kids that young can carry a show like this. Like that's really like legitimately very impressive to me.
Well,
Um,
Ben, who's the acting coach, is remarkable. So
mm,
he's worked on It One, It Two, and the series, and he
wow.
is he is really exceptional.
Okay. So I guess I would ask you like what you would take for yourself. I assume it would be the Pennywise outfit just because it's such a labor of love. But I mean like the Periwinkle outfit that we see Madeline Stowe. So excited to see Madeline Stowe. When she sees her dad again, I was like, I would wear that and like vacuum in it.
Yeah,
It looks very comfortable. So I don't
it
know.
is. It's interesting. Like I love all the clown costumes. To be honest, I mean I love the Bob Gray
Mm-hmm.
version, which is a bit more floppy, and
Floppy's a great word for that. Yeah.
uh, and there are a couple of men's shirts in there that I was quite fond of that we
There's
built.
a lot of great like gingham,
Yep.
lot of great gingham, a lot of great like button up striped, a lot of great patterns in here.
Um, yeah, I would say that like I think we made a couple of extra shirts that I brought in some fabric and said let's make this out of that.
Yeah.
And yeah, yeah. But I mean, I love. the thing about the periwinkle was it was so great to do, the child periwinkle and then the Madeline Stowe memory version of
Mm.
periwinkle, which needed to be kind of skewed in a weird way. It wasn't as happy as her memory of the time. So that was kind of fun.
Yeah. Okay. Well, thank you for letting me geek out on you. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you.
I feel like if people really like dig into a lot of, construction and things like that with costumes, they'll be pleasantly surprised at how happy and excited they are, excuse me. Thank you. Just a big fan, so thank you so much.
Oh, thank you so much.
Yeah.
And thank you again for mentioning both Vladimir and Once Upon a Time.
Oh
That's
yeah,
that's so cool.
of course. All right.
All
Well,
right.
have a good rest
Well,
of your day.
okay, you too.
Thanks.
Take care. Bye.